you. Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Right now I'm joined by the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas in the person of the Honorable Alison Maynard Gibson, Queen's Counsel, and of course Senior Justice Chapel from the Inner London Crown Court. And our topic this morning is swift justice. And so to my special guest, welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so happy and curious and excited to explore this topic. I think it's so timely. So let's sort of delve right into it. When we talk swift justice, what exactly do we mean and why do we need it?
We mean, in a snapshot, efficiency in the administration of justice.
Okay.
This is critically important, most especially in a democracy where you want to have confidence in your legal system. And it's most especially in the criminal justice system at a time like this.
Yeah.
People would like to see things radically change, and I want to assure Bahamians that this is not business as usual. Bahamians have had enough of someone being charged, for example, with a rape, and 6, 7, 8 years later, and we have files as old as that, the victim now being the virtual complainant being called and want to know, are you ready to proceed? That person has already moved on with their life, and it's not satisfactory. A mother may have buried her son, who was the victim of a murder, and here we are, 6, 7 years later. She can't bring closure to that matter. That family can't bring closure to the matter. And what we're talking about is revamping that so that matters come on within a reasonable period of time, which results in fewer persons being let out on bail and those complaints, the revolving door on bail.
Sure.
We're talking about fixing the system. We're talking about getting all of the stakeholders who need to be involved in doing things differently. You know, if we do it the same way, nothing's going to change. Sure. And very importantly, having citizens recognize why an efficient system is important. It's in everybody's benefit, and the role that citizens must play in making it happen.
Sure, we're kind of like all in it together. So how will then swift justice fix some of these issues that you highlighted?
Well, if we are able to make sure that all of the stakeholders are in fact working together, if I can call it like a well-oiled machine, the system now works. When someone is charged, we can expect, and we all plan and work towards that matter coming on for trial within a reasonable period of time. We've already showed that matters can come on, murders can come on within a year. We've done it.
Yes.
And so why should it take 6, 7, 8 years?
Yes.
If it can happen, let's do what works to make it happen.
Sure.
That's what we're saying.
You know, it sounds perfectly logical. Obviously, we need to sort of get to that point, and this is where Senior Justice Chapel kicks in, because you have experience in implementing or being a part of initiatives such as these, such as what the Attorney General is describing, to sort of bring us up to par, so to speak, in terms of the efficiency of justice. So let's talk a little bit about that.
I do, and let me tell you what the problem was in London, although, can I emphasize straight away, right at the beginning, it would be quite wrong, and I'm really not saying that this is the way we do things in England, this is the way you must do them here. Far from it. We learnt lots of lessons which we think might be helpful here, because we found ourselves in pretty much, well, a similar position. When I took over as the senior judge at Inner London Crown Court back in 2007, I inherited a huge backlog, and that backlog grew and grew and grew, so that in the end we were facing 1,800 cases waiting for trial.
1,800?
1,800.
Okay.
They were all jury trials waiting to be tried.
Okay.
The reasons for that backlog, I suppose, don't matter too much, but I think it was a combination of so many things. There was an explosion of crime. There was an improvement in detection rates and techniques. There was a withdrawal of funds from the court service budget by government cuts. The Crown Prosecution Service budget was cut too, defence fees cut. So I found a criminal justice system heading for collapse. It was barren ground. We had to do something about it. My backlog now is 500 cases. So it can be done. We were waiting at the worst for criminal trials to get going. I was offering trial dates 2, 3, 4 years hence. There's a very old saying, justice delayed is justice denied, but how very true that is. We're now down to, as I say, a backlog of 500 cases, which is workable. I'm now offering trial dates 4 or 5 months after an accused is arrested.
Well, that's quite phenomenal. So in that process, though, you must have learned some lessons along the way in terms of worth sort of sharing with us. And we want our viewers to understand some of the lessons so they could be, participants in the whole process?
I've been here for one whole week, so I speak with the experience of just 4 or 5 days.
Sure.
To that extent, things are limited. But I've been talking to all your senior judges. I've spoken to the defense bar. I've spoken at great length to the judges in a meeting yesterday, which was very useful. I'm due to meet the prosecutors tonight to take soundings. But several messages develop, several common themes. Some of them, I think, can be fixed in a fairly short term and have a real effect on your backlog. Others, I think, will take longer. In an ideal world, there should be, I think, a holistic approach.
Sure.
You look at everything all together and build a great new system. I don't think, on the experience of 1 week, that you have time for that holistic approach. You need a quick fix for some things, and I think particularly for the backlog. My view is that the quick fix is effective case management. At the moment, so far as I can see, trials are taking far, far too long. And that is so very damaging, because the longer a trial takes, fairly obviously the next trial waiting to get tried is delayed again, so the backlog builds. And for as long as any criminal justice system has a millstone around its neck, it's never going to flourish.
Sure. You know, it's interesting. I see coming out of this a short-term strategy and sort of a long-term strategy. Right. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, yes, Rumi. I mean, I don't think that, I've said on more than one occasion that the system is fundamentally broken. And so it would be a big mistake to say that it's something that can be fixed overnight. There is, however, low-hanging fruit that we can show progress with, and builds optimism.
Yes.
And it creates a very, very important buy-in and hope for the future. And some of this means that there will not. I mean, case management by judges means that the judges are going to have to change their style of doing things. And we hope that experts like Justice Chappell and others will come and assist and show that it can be done. Most importantly, they will recognize, and we all will recognize, that we don't want business as usual.
Sure.
We want to showcase our system as capable of being efficient. I'd like to see it as the most efficient system in the region. This can be done, and very importantly, the public deserves an efficient system and has a right to an efficient system. So I'm hoping that all of us will get on board, and let's show that it can be done, and let's do it.
Excellent. What's going through my mind, there is a case management system of sorts sort of in place now. So obviously you're talking about either bolstering it or making dramatic changes to it. What are some of the tweakings or the refinishings, and Justice Chappell, that you can envision or anticipate us moving along or towards?
In my vision, they're going to be big changes, and they'll pay dividends.
So this is beyond tweaking then, this is a revamping?
It's still in the category of tweaking, I think. Because financially it's not going to cost a great deal, but it can pay big dividends.
Sure.
And I believe your system, and where it finds itself at the moment, it is ripe for that tweak, that improvement, which is going to improve things substantially. There is real cause for optimism, I think, in this short-term fix. Effective case management really has to come from somewhere, and the obvious place from which it comes is the judges. And if I can persuade the judges towards effective case management to take the lead, that is really going to improve everything. What a trial judge needs to do right at the start of a case is to drill down and find what the issue really is at trial. To use Madam Attorney's example of rape, a defendant charged with rape, what's the first question you need to know so that you can manage the case? You need to know what the defense is saying. Did intercourse happen? Or was it consent? Or was it not me? You need to know what's being said, in fairness to everyone, surely. That way, the judge can say, well, we really don't need that evidence, you no need to prove that, let's concentrate on what we really do need to prove. What are the issues a jury really needs to determine? And by doing that, you save days and days of court time, because where on earth is the point, if the issue is consent, of calling scientific evidence to prove the intercourse and so on and so forth, it's not in dispute. And that, as I say, saves days and days. The time in a court is such a precious resource, and it needs to be managed properly.
It's interesting. So does that mean then the defendant, the potential defendant, would be tying himself into a particular defense sort of right at the onset?
Yes.
How does that play out in practical terms?
Yes, it does. And there's reluctance and worry about that being expressed in various quarters. For my part, I don't see it. And really, if one knows what the defense is, it's simpler and to be fairer to him too, because one knows exactly what further material might assist his case, which is in the hands of other people.
Sure.
It concentrates everyone's mind. Well, that's surely got to be fairer for everyone.
All right.
And for it to work, I mean, we have to make sure that the prosecution puts the defense in the position right up front to understand what the prosecution's case is as well. And so this swift justice means that all stakeholders have to buy in to there are no gotcha moments.
Sure.
We want the system to work. If you're making an allegation against me, I have a right to know
Sure.
what is the allegation, what is the evidence that you have against me. Everybody has a right to know what is your defense, and then what I think Justice Chappell is saying, and I may be inelegantly paraphrasing him, is then the judge is able to say, listen, I don't want to hear that evidence that you're bringing is not relevant to the issue at hand.
Interesting. And
I heard a very interesting account from one of the judges that I was talking to earlier this week, who was trying a murder case not so very long ago. And the defense was, it wasn't me, not that the victim hadn't been murdered and so on. Yet he told me days were spent with the pathological expert who'd carried out the post-mortem about the angle of the stab wound and how deep it had penetrated, what damage it had caused. What on earth does that have to do with anything?
I like what I'm hearing.
You know,
Yes, okay.
we transpose that now into, and persons who are who run businesses, and I don't just mean big businesses, will be listening to this show.
All right.
This is a very popular show. Judicial time is valuable. If there's no dispute about the fact that the person is dead,
Yes.
why are we spending time proving that the person is dead?
Indeed.
Or how the person died? And that then enables us to effectively and efficiently manage time so that more cases can move smoothly through the system and people can feel that the system is serving the people. And that is why I say again, it's not business as usual.
Well, we have to end on that note. Thank you so much, Madam Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson, and of course Justice Chappell.
It's been
Certainly a pleasure speaking with you this morning. We look forward to these changes and the fruits that they will bring, the dividends that the Bahamian public will receive.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for the great job that you're doing. Thanks very much.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be back after this.